So, hello everyone who is here joining us live, and for anyone who is listening to the replay, welcome. We're here today to provide information to you about the scholarship program and, of course, answer any questions that you might have. I'm Marcy Kobayashi, and I'm one of the outreach coordinators. I work with Mitsuko Kumagai, who is also on the call. Mitsuko, can you wave your hand? Thank you. Uh, we're responsible for getting information out in Japanese. Today, though, we're going to be using primarily English. However, if you'd like to ask a question in Japanese, it's okay. Please do. 日本語でも大丈夫です。遠慮なくもう使ってください. And I want to assure you that no one here on the call today is part of the screening committee. So any of the questions that you ask, they will not affect your application in any way. So please relax and feel free to ask any of the questions that you might have about the scholarship in general or about the application process itself. So first, I'd like to introduce Marielle, who's with the Institute of International Education, and she's going to give a little bit of information about IIE and then more information about the scholarship program itself. And then after that, we'll go into any of the questions that you have. Hopefully, though, we'll have already answered your questions, but if not, it's okay. You can ask questions. So, Marielle, would you like to take over now?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is super exciting. Good afternoon and good evening for those joining us. And if anyone's joining from this side of the world, good morning. I'm going to jump right in and talk about the slide that you're looking at right now. And so if you've already visited the website for the program, the Japan-IMF Scholarship Program is managed by the Institute of International Education, abbreviated as IIE and known as IIE. And we've been managing this program for a long time now, but the Institute of International Education is a global non-for-profit, and it creates and implements international education programs. And it was founded in 1919, if you could believe that, and go that far back in history. And we've been implementing international education programs ever since. And I'm just going to drop down to the next slide. And let me see if I can get this to work. Yay! So what you're seeing here is a map of the over 180 countries that we do operate. We didn't have enough dots to fill in. And if we did, you probably couldn't see the map itself. But I hope that this image gives you an idea of the broad reach that IIE has and what we've been doing in the space of international education. And we work with over 200 programs within those over 180 countries. And if you hear honking, I'm really sorry, but that's the true New York City living, and that's where I'm meeting you today from. So if you hear anybody hollering or screaming or honking horns, that's just day-to-day life here. So I do apologize. Yeah, so I hope that this brings a little bit of added flavor to what you may have already seen in our website, and that it allows you to see the broad reach. This particular program for Japan-IMF is really focused on Japanese students. So that's something that's unique to this program. And IIE by numbers, as you can see in the slide, this just further brings to light the impact that IIE has and brings in the space of global or international education. And I'll just move on. And this is basically what we really make an impact with, advancing scholarship, building economies, and promoting access to opportunity. And then go down here. And at this point, we're just going to move right into what the program is about. And what you're seeing here is an image of actual students that have been awarded. And I believe some of these students are still studying. So these are real-time people who won the opportunity and have been already enjoying their program. Sometimes you can, I think that Japan-IMF website already updated their website. Some of these students may also be featured on that website if you are curious to learn a little bit more about who was selected in the past. And the page in the IMF website, they also include some of the alumni. And so the slide in front of you now basically is going to outline a few points as to why apply. And I just want to take a moment and say thank you so much for being here and for not being shy about asking your questions. It's so important that we're here to help you at any point, whether it's now or throughout the process of the application. And basically, this is a unique opportunity for anyone who's eligible to participate. And you can read what's on the screen. I'll just also outline some of the points as to why apply. And the scholarship is funded by the government of Japan and administered by IMF's Capacity Development, ICD, and with the assistance of the Institute of International Education, that's us. And up to 8 scholarships are awarded annually. This is a competitive program. We have had in the past maybe 1 or 2 more, which is not unusual. Sometimes have been awarded. So we don't want you to feel like this is something that you can't achieve. There's nothing wrong with putting your best out there and completing the application and giving it a shot. It's so worth it. So I hope that that's a little bit encouraging. All Japan-IMF scholars are required to apply to IMF's Economist program. I don't know if you've read that already, but upon completion of the doctoral studies and accept the Economist position, if that's offered to you at the IMF. So these are 2 very unique qualities or offerings of the program. And scholars that do not comply with this condition, they will be asked to repay the scholarship cost. That's something to think about. If you have any questions, definitely ask us. And if we don't have the answer for you right now, we most certainly will provide that for you if you email us your question, if anyone has any concern about that. If you're looking at the screen right now, you've already read that there are great benefits, such as having the university paid for, and this is within reasonable expenses. Just wanted to caveat that. But yes, you've got medical insurance, monthly allowance, but also there's summer internship, which is something that's really, really beneficial and has been, from what I understand, a lot of fun. There's the opportunity to meet some of the alumni as well. So that's really important. I don't know many programs that offer so much within such I would say, a unique space within economics. So I'm going to now bring you all to the program benefits. And as we did highlight it, the award tuition and stipend, the path to employment at IMF, and then the alumni group. We can't stress enough how much of a wonderful network is built with every year adding awardees, which is, I'm going to just abbreviate that, but those who are awarded and candidates that are selected for this program. Every year, it's another layer of brilliant people coming together. So I do hope that that is something that highlights the application process, which is really not so bad. It's pretty easy. And now we're looking at eligibility requirements and online application requirements. And I think this is the most stressful part, really, but it's really not hard at all. And we're all here to help you. And if anyone needs to have what I've just been saying translated into Japanese for further clarity, definitely ask. So if you've already read a little bit about the program, initiated your application, and are already aware, this is just a refresher about the eligibility. So you do have to be a Japanese citizen, and you do need to be pursuing your advanced degree in economics and at a university outside of Japan. There are age limitations here. So one has to be able to complete the PhD program by the age of 34. Uh, and if you're interested in pursuing the career at IMF and you're offered the position, that's something that, as we just said earlier, it is part of the requirement. And then the online application, once you've created your application, you're already in the system and you've seen the form if you already started. But if you haven't, it's pretty simple. There's a lot of support that we can provide you with. But as long as you're filling in the information and saving, I think you've got it. So with any application, as you go, save. And we just have a few requirements that we always want to make sure people are aware of. And it's making sure that you have your recommender in mind. And I'm jumping down a little bit to something that's usually at the bottom of the list, which is the recommenders. But it's really important that your recommender know you and be able to speak to your qualities. And there are two recommenders that we always ask for, and they have to be obviously two different referees and provide two different references. And they get to upload their letter of recommendation via the application system. So that's something that is easy for you and easy for your recommender to do. And we obviously have the paperwork that you'll need to upload, which would be just your transcripts. So that's something that is super important to make sure that you have available. We can always help you if there's an issue of it not being something clear, a document that may not be clear. Just reach out to us. Or if you have difficulty accessing something like that, which has happened in the past, we're here to help you. Make sure that you have whatever the documents that you need to have in the application already available for you within the system. So we'll help you out there. As you can see, there's a GRE and TOEFL bullet in the presentation, and we do encourage everyone to enter their TOEFL scores, and we don't require anyone to upload the actual results. So you're literally just typing in your scores. I know that we may have some questions about this, so I'll move on to the remaining points that I want to make, and we'll answer your questions for the TOEFL requirements. This is, if you haven't already started your application, this is something that if you already are proficient in English, it's okay if you put in your old scores. If you have taken a test from the past, you don't need to take a new one. However, if English is something that maybe you're strong in, but not necessarily comfortable in carrying a conversation or able to carry a conversation should you be selected for the interview step, it's probably important for you to make sure that you do provide the test scores and are in awareness that you will need to be able to carry a full conversation in English should you be selected for the next phase of the interview component. So being proficient in English is an advantage. We still want you to put your scores in. And for those who may have taken the test a long time ago and are not necessarily confident with their English, should they be selected for the interview portion, we don't ever say anything about you have to go take another test, but that's something that's been asked, and that is completely up to you as far as your confidence with the English proficiency. And you do have a personal statement. And as you can see on the screen, 500 words, and that's a limit, but it's okay if you go over, say one or a few more words. So if that's something that is causing a little bit of nervousness, please ask us. We're more than happy to help you out with that. That should be the least of your stressors there. And I think for the moment, I'm going to just show the last slide, how to apply. And again, the deadline, if you need a reminder, is November 30th of this year. It seems a little bit far away, but really it's almost around the corner. And we're looking at a picture here of other scholars that actually were selected for the program as well. And that's pretty much the end of my presentation. I hope that I've been able to bring up a few more points that are helpful for you. And the floor is open at this point. And Marcy and Mitsuko, if you'd like to take over and help me with any questions, that would be great. And I'm here
Sure.
to answer as many questions as anyone has.
Great. Yep. Thank you, Marielle. So
Thank
we
you.
actually do have a few questions that came in. So we'll go ahead and share those first. And then anybody who's listening who has another question, you can either put it in the chat or you can come on to the call and ask it directly. So first of all, let's see, Mitsuko, do you want to read one of the questions that came in?
Yes, we have three of the Japanese で日
Yeah,
本
read the Japanese version first and then I'll share the English.
3つあります、すべてで。で、まず1つ目が、マクロ経済学以外、例えばミクロ経済学や応用ミクロ経済学を専攻しているものでも応募可能ですか？応募した場合、マクロ経済学専攻者と比較して、どの程度専攻において不利になりますかというのがまず一つ目です。
Yeah. So basically, Marielle, this is the question that was, can people who major in fields other than macroeconomics, for example, microeconomics or applied macroeconomics, apply? And if they apply, to what extent will they be at a disadvantage in the selection process compared to the macroeconomics majors?
Okay, thank you for that. That was a very good question. I realized that I may have not mentioned that throughout the presentation that, yes, part of the requirement is to remain a full graduate student in a PhD program in macroeconomics. However, it's also open to students who are majoring in IMF related fields. If you haven't seen that on their website or the IIE website or in any of the information that we have available for the program, macroeconomics is the primary, but also related fields within this. Obviously, it would have to be macro or micro, but economics, statistics, public finance, econometrics, those are other majors that are open, and we had many of those awarded within these fields. Also, the landscape within macro and micro are shifting and changing very quickly. So it really is beneficial to apply because as long as it's a major that is relevant, and that would be within the macro, and also micro has been one of the fields that awardees have been selected and have been majors in. And it's usually, from my experience, it's econometrics is one that was really, let's say, popular within the last 2 years. So if that's something that you might not be majoring in within the macro and microeconomics field, it's okay to apply as long as it's something that you're already seeing. If you haven't already looked at the website for the IMF, they're related fields. So that is important. But again, if you have something that's a little bit different and you'd like to have that confirmed, please email us and give us that specific so we can look into it and then provide you with the best answer and let you know right away. Oh, you're still eligible if you're majoring in whatever that major is. That might be a little bit different, that isn't already listed, but it does need to be within the constraints of the macroeconomics or microeconomics and related fields that are already listed within the IMF websites about the program, if that helps as a guidance. I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know.
So basically, if in doubt, send an email and ask you to get some confirmation, right? Okay, that's
Yeah,
good
if
to
in
know.
doubt, reach out.
Okay, great.
That. helps.
It's good. Do you want to read the second question?
はい。はい。2つ目、年齢制限はありますか？もし年齢制限によるカットオフがないとして、どの程度年齢が選考に影響を与えますかという質問です。
Is there an age limit? And if there is no age cutoff, how much does age affect selection?
Thank you for that question. There is an age restriction, if that's a nice way to say it. We don't like to make it sound like no one is going to be considered, because there are always conditions that we like to review before we make that final decision. But part of the requirements is that the applicant or candidate will complete the PhD program before the age of 34 or by the age of 34. And that's important to understand in order to be eligible for the program. If it happens to be that you're in the PhD program and you're going to finish and your birthday tips over to 35, please ask us, because those are smaller considerations in the big picture of who you are as a candidate. And we want to make sure we put everything into perspective. But yes, there is that by the age of 34 being able to complete the PhD program, if that helps to clarify.
Great. Thank you. So I guess it's like the second or the first question, like if in doubt, reach out and ask, right?
Yeah,
But
we'd like to encourage that very much, to ask questions. There's never anything wrong with that. Definitely always ask.
okay, great. All right, let's hear the third question.
はい。3つ目の質問は、在学年数はどの程度選考に影響を与えますか？例えば、進学予定者、在学1年生、在学3年生、在学5年生など。
Yes, okay. So to what extent does their year in school affect the selection process? For example, an undergrad applying for grad school versus a first, third, or fifth year grad student. I think this is very similar or connected to the age requirement question that was asked before, but you want to go ahead, Marielle?
It's interesting to ask the question that way, because we've had applicants who have been selected who are jumping. Let's say they're skipping the middle part. In other words, they go from their bachelor's in science or their bachelor program, and they jump to the PhD level. And someone that had an incredibly strong background, because this is a competitive program, being able to present their application and all of their work and all of their involvement, and obviously matching the requirements with the major, and also their references, provided a little bit more of content where that at one point would have been a disadvantage. Something like this is rare, but within the PhD program itself, there really isn't any other disadvantage other than if unfortunately you're unable to complete the PhD program by age 34. So just reiterating what Marcy just mentioned, that would be the only weight that one would have to consider. And that's when reaching out to ask us, again, when in doubt, reach out, would be the best next step, so that we can provide you with the best information. We can reach out ourselves and ask amongst ourselves, IIE and IMF, as a team, and then be able to provide you with the strongest feedback that would be helpful. Does that answer the question?
Hopefully. The person who asked it, if you need more clarification, you can ask in a different way. And you can also ask after the call. I wanted to bring up one other question. I don't have the Japanese for it, mainly because this question is asked over and over again. It wasn't asked by anybody coming in on the call this time, but many people want to know if they can combine this scholarship with another scholarship, and if that would be allowed or not.
That is a very good question. And I will have to say, from what I understand, not necessarily, but please ask us, and we can confirm that for you. There's so many different scholarships out there, so the only thing would be something competing or that would restrict you in a way of fulfilling all of the requirements should you be selected. That's really important because you have your internship. It is a 2-year program. So as long as something isn't necessarily competing, but it's always important to verify that with us. If you're selected, it's something that you would also maybe need to put forth as well as part of the selection process. I hope that helps to answer the question.
I think so. I want to say that generally speaking, when we get that question through the website, we most often say, as a rule, the answer is no. But it's very helpful to hear that depending on what the scholarship is, that again, if in doubt, reach out. So it's good if anybody here listening is not sure and they have a scholarship, then it would be good to find out if it's okay. And we do have a question that just came in. Let's see, I'm a PhD student in the United Kingdom. Could the TOEFL score be replaced by the IELTS score? I do not have the GRE score as it is not typically required by most British universities. Could you kindly clarify whether or not showing these documents is likely to put some negative impression to some extent? Good question.
Well, we do accept GRE, TOEFL, and the IELTS. We do accept those scores, and entering it into the application, the scores that you currently have, that's something that we encourage that you do. And again, we don't necessarily need students to take these tests again. If you're proficient in English, that's something that is the greater consideration. If you're filling out the application, it's in English. And we can already gauge just by your essays, and also your references will be in English. And so we'll be able to also take that feedback that we receive from your references as far as your work and the examples of what you put into your application also are typically we get them in English. So if you're already studying in English language, that's something that already allows you to maybe feel a little bit more confident in that space. So it doesn't necessarily hurt a candidate to put in your scores, especially if your programs that you're in right now are already in English. If you're a Japanese student studying outside of the US, outside of Japan, and a lot of times we have students that are here in the US. We have a lot of students that are in the UK, and other spaces. Australia is another one, and those are obviously English is the first language. But we also have students that speak multiple languages, and we've learned that through the application, and English happens to be something that they're still strong in. And when we see the scores, typically it adds to the application. And we have had students that have taken one of the tests, the IELTS, some have taken other tests so recently that those scores stand alone. So it's not an issue that it would be used against you or bring the application, the quality down. Sometimes when people leave this out of the application because it is optional within the application itself, that's the disadvantage. So sometimes students have left out this information. They haven't entered their test scores because it's optional, and we haven't had that ability to leverage all of the information. I hope that helps to clarify.
I think so. Let me just clarify to make sure I understand. So, yes, it's okay to use the IELTS score instead of the TOEFL score, and that if you have a score, it's better to put it in than not to put it in. But if you are already studying in a program where you're speaking English as part of the program's in English, then that already demonstrates in a very big way your ability to your command of English. Is that right? So there's no negative impression or nothing that's going to hurt the student for
Yep.
not
Thank
using the TOEFL, right? Okay.
Yes.
Don't feel like you have to go out and take the TOEFL or the IELTS again. Please don't do that.
No.
Good question. Thank you. Any others?
Mm.
You're welcome. Okay. And remember, if you would prefer to ask the question in Japanese, that's okay too.
Yes.
And also, if you've already started your application and you have a question about the application itself, you can try asking. And if we can't answer today, we can always get back to you with an answer. So there's that too. Mariel, I know there's one question that some people have asked before, and that's where do uh, where do people study? Because these are, I mean, you mentioned the US and you mentioned the UK, and what are some of the other countries, even just recently, where the awardees are going to school?
Canada
Okay.
is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And we have had Germany.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we have had also, there's been so many different
Mm-hmm.
variants. Just because of post-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
there's a trend, which happens to always right now be US, UK, Canada, for the most part. So if I can answer it with that, because we're just sort of getting out of
Mm-hmm.
the post-COVID,
Mm-hmm.
but we have students that have studied throughout the top tier universities in Europe, which is really impressive. Um, However, it has been post-COVID, the trend in top universities in Canada, in the United States, United Kingdom, and even within Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So for some reason, these have been the places that many of the students have been studying in those universities there. Um,
That's great. Thank you.
that answers it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun question.
Yeah, I'd like to see a map. There was a map of where IIE has all of its programs or the offices. I'd like to see a map of where
Yeah,
all of the
I can make that happen. I
yeah, it
can
would be
make that
really
happen.
cool. I'd love to see that because I know of a couple other places. I think there was someone who was also in Italy, if I'm not, if I might be
Is
wrong.
uh,
Maybe
I,
not.
I yeah, I'd have to, I can work on this map and
That would be fun to see.
yeah, there's
And I'm assuming those of you who are on the call, you've already decided where you're going, or maybe you're already there. You're already in your program. Um, so it might be too late, but maybe not.
does anybody want to share where they're studying from if they are already enrolled or plan to?
Are you all shy?
That's okay, no worries. Yeah, if you have a question about that, if you
Yeah.
feel like, you have any doubts, which I hope you don't, but if you do, definitely, again, reach out.
And
全
actually,
然
there,
日本語で大丈夫ですよ。マーシーも日本語わかるので、日本語でも構わないので、質問あったらどうぞ。
And there's also a blog post in Japanese on the Japanese website that talks about all the different universities, shows a list of all the universities where students have gone on to do their PhD. And that's kind of interesting to see. And it might give you an idea of where you could apply if you haven't decided already. I think there's also a short list on the IIE's website as well with that information. So.
Yeah, it's always impressive to see the universities that everyone has attended along the way as they've been working through their programs, and then where the PhD programs are taking place.
Mhm.
So the journey is something that's always impressive. Um, and we know that applicants to this program really bring so much to the table as far as the competition itself, but those that have been selected have added so much to the program itself as it's ongoing, but every year the alumni community has more and more texture to it. I'm going to use that word because there's diversity, and you have students that are working in places and spaces that they maybe only dreamed of, and they're living that out. And then being able to work with the current selected group is something that also brings something full circle for alumni. So everyone's getting a little bit of something in this program, whether they're currently in it or they become alumni themselves.
It's interesting to see the collaboration between alumni. I recently ran across someone who is a professor at a university and is getting ready to publish a paper with someone who is currently working at the IMF, and they both went through this program, and that's really exciting to see that kind of connection ongoing throughout their career.
Definitely, especially in this space, which is so specialized and so focused. Uh, we want to make sure that applicants know that there's great support, even throughout just the application portion. So there's great support from beginning and then just extending outwardly throughout the process and the journey.
Today we've been speaking mostly in English and a little bit of Japanese here and there. After we end the call, you might think of something, and it's okay to ask us a question again afterwards. I know for myself, when I join a call like this, I almost never can think of a question until after the call is over. So if you are like that, then please know that you can ask again later. And there's two places, really, two or three places where you can ask. One would be to send an email directly back to info@japanimfscholarship.org, and you would have received an email from us uh, with information about today's call. So you can respond to that or send an email to that address with a question. There's also a contact form on the website that's in Japanese where you signed up for this call. But also on IIE's website, you can see here where it says how to apply. You can apply online there, but if you go to that address, you'll be able to see the email address that you can write to directly. But if you write to that one, you'd want to write in English so that Marielle could answer your question. If you write to the email the email address that you got the information from for this call today, you can write in Japanese or English. Either one is okay. So if there are no other questions, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Anybody want to jump in and give a try? Anything? Any little question is okay.
Yeah.
個人的に I have just wondering that I ask you a question so you can transfer, Marcy. 例えばドイツとか、英語圏以外の 大学に留学をした人たちっていうのは、やっぱり英語がベース、基本的に英語ができるっていう上での、その違う国に行って留学をした場合、その受けてる授業っていうのは、やっぱり英語で受けてる生徒の方が多いのかなってちょっと気になったんだけど、その国の、例えばドイツだとしたら、ドイツの大学に行ってドイツの授業を受けているのか、それともドイツの大学で英語での授業を受けているのか、やっぱり IMF の奨学金を受けるっていうのは英語がベースになるので、英語圏以外の大学に行った時に、ちょっと気になって、どういう授業を受けているのかなってちょっと思ったんだけど。
You should be asking that yourself in English, but I'll go for it here. So it was a great one. Thank you. I hadn't thought about that before. So there are some students, Mariel, who choose to go to countries that aren't English speaking countries, right? For example, Germany or Italy. And for those students, I mean, because this program is really based, they have to have the English ability to be able to work then at the IMF. You'd need that English. And so everything about the application is you have to be able to demonstrate your English ability. So then those students who are going to another country and that is not where English is not the main language, are they primarily studying in that country's language? Or are they studying in English, or do you know? I mean,
Thank you. That's a fun question to answer because typically when you're in another country, it would be within that language. It's there. You'd be speaking in the language in that country. However, we've had cases where some of the content that they're learning is actually also with English included. So I think that just varies from program to program within universities, depending where they study. There's always, it just seems that in today's day and age, there seems to be some English sprinkled into the program, or that's a part of it. It would make sense that it's dominant in the language of, let's say, if you're studying in Germany or anywhere within Europe that's not a non-English. We've had applicants from those universities as well, and it hasn't mattered if it's not an English dominant program. Again, it always goes back to the proficiency as far as being able to read it, speak, basically be able to participate in English. So if the candidate selected for the program, so it's impressive to us to have candidates from a diverse population of all of these top tier universities within the PhD program itself, that these students that are applying are, they fit that macroeconomics major, whether it's a political economy or poverty issues that they're studying. We really need the full application to be able to even bring that to life, and being able to see the diversity that the student handles, that also really enhances the experience for us while we're going through the application process, but also during the interviews, should the candidates be selected. So it's always something that highlights, as long as you're able to communicate in English language for this purpose of the program. So if anyone's studying at a university where English isn't the language that they're learning in at that university itself, it's not something that you should be worried about not being selected. Again, so I hope that I was able to package that in a way that you can feel confident. It's so many of these applicants that we've looked at in the past, no matter where they study, are super impressive for us, especially at the PhD level, the level of competition and all of the work that they've done and are doing at the PhD level. So I hope that helps. A little long in answering it, but we look at that as part of the enhancement.
Okay. Thank you, Marielle.
Thank you.
You're excited. So, thank you.
So you were talking about the application and starting their application. So I'm curious, I don't know if you have this data on the top of your head, and you may not, and it's okay, but how, what percentage of students who start their application actually finish the application?
うん。
That is something that we hope is always 100%. But we've learned in the past that we have, so usually we have a small percentage of students that don't complete the application. And typically, uh, it's something that always is something that always surprises us a little bit because those are the students that never reach out. Those are the students that haven't asked us questions uh, to help clarify any doubts. So that's an unfortunate experience.
Wow. Oh, that's really a key point there. So these students, the ones who don't finish their applications, are ones who haven't reached out to ask any questions or make sure. Wow. Okay. So you don't even know
Usually,
why they haven't completed their application.
yeah,
Oh, that's too bad.
it is. And it's when we always see that, it's always something that we say, well, this, look at where they're studying. Look at, well, they already provided this information. Well, why? And so I hope that this brings everything full circle as far as the experience today, that there is no reason to not ask. It can make a difference, with hitting that submit button.
Mm.
It's such a great competition. Um, and it's also a great reward if you're selected. This is a really unique program, and it brings so much. Uh, Even if it's just the application process itself that you're getting through right now, it really can surprise you, and you can be surprised at what you're able to accomplish at just going through this process alone, and then possibly being selected for this program. It's really impressive to me. Uh, when somebody hits submit, I feel their courage.
うん
え、も
Yeah.
ったいない。
And really, before you can complete your application and hit submit, you really have to start your application. And so, for all of you who are on the call today, if you haven't gone over and started the application, I hope that's the first thing that you will do today after we get off the call because it's very easy. All you need is your email. I think an email and a password is to get yourself set up and just to get in and see what's inside there and what's required and start working on it early. Start working on it now. Start working through it, saving as you go. And if you have not chosen and asked your recommenders to help you yet, please get on that right away so that they have the time to think about how to give the best information about you to the program. Make sure that they have time to submit as well. That's really key. Don't wait until the very end. So, for either you or for the recommenders, but really seriously, today, I really highly recommend you, if you have not started your application, do that today and start poking around and looking at all of the questions that are in there and getting through and seeing what it is that you need to submit. So don't be afraid of it. Get it started, get it in there. And then
Right.
by November 30th, hit that submit button and submit the application.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And if anyone has any issues right at that deadline of November 30th, also let us know. We are always helpful. We know that things happen. So some things happen with the system. There's a glitch. We're happy to help. We know that you're there working on it, and you're passionate about getting this application in and the program itself. So if anyone has any situation when they're at the end of their application and they want to make sure that they're able to submit it, if you've done it and you say I didn't get an email, definitely reach out and we'll confirm for you. We've had situations where someone said I didn't get an email and I submitted. Did it happen? Did I get it in? And we always are there to also provide support at that step because sometimes that things happen. So please just give it a try. Reach out. We're here for you.
I think also you mentioned before, Mariel, I've heard that there's been a time when a recommender wasn't able to get their recommendation in, and there was an issue with that. And because it's not something that the applicant does, it's all on the recommender. They have to be uploading it, and there's issues that come up. And so you can help with that too, right?
Done that. Yes, we've done that. And that's usually anyone who has experienced a glitch, it usually comes from the reference side. And it's only because maybe uploading something,
Mm.
some professors um, have needed help with that. So it's like getting their reference in. That's where we come in and provide the support in the back end. So you don't necessarily see us or hear us, but we're there getting that done, helping you get that in time. So when you're in the application system, you're able to see and track your progress. And if you're noticing, hey, I'm missing my second recommendation, uh, you can reach out to us. I want to make sure that you know that you're not alone. But we're also observing and making sure that the recommendation portion is complete. So not only are we able to help you there, but if you notice something and you have a concern, then definitely raise your hand and ask for help as well, so that you shouldn't feel stressed out. We know that recommenders really want to help, and they may not have even known that they weren't successful at submitting their reference. So sometimes that does happen.
Mm. It's good to know. Yeah.
If that helps, I hope.
Okay.
Well, we have a number of people here on the call today, and I know there are some of you who are watching the replay as well. And I hope that all of you who are part of this call, whether it's live or on the replay, that we will someday see you as an alumni. It'll be really exciting. So I hope that you apply, and that I hope that you're accepted, and I hope that you go on and have an amazing career. So good luck with that. I don't have anything more to add today. Is there anybody else who would like to ask a question or make a comment before we wrap up?
Yeah.
We're good.
I hope this was helpful for everyone today. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, and to Marcia and Mitsuko for making this happen, and taking the time to be here at whatever hour it is, wherever you are watching this.
Yes, because some of you are up very early in the morning, I believe. So thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Marielle, for
you
getting up
too.
early to do this with us. I appreciate it. And wherever you are in the world watching this, I hope you have a wonderful end the rest of your day or evening or afternoon. And we look forward to answering any questions that you might have in the future. So email us and good luck. Get on that application. When you leave this meeting, I want you to go right over to that iie.org/JISP and look for the link to start your application and get going on it. All you have to do today is just start the application. You don't have to do anything else. Just do that. Okay?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Good luck, everyone. Have a
Yes,
wonderful
thank
day.
you.
Thank you for
Thank you,
coming.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.